Welcome back to Buried Cinema. I'm Nate.
I'm Tom.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Alvin Yee.
This is our 100th episode, so we're very excited. This is 100th episode, what, like part 2? Or,
It's the reboot.
It's the reboot. It's the reboot. The original, Tom would joke, the original series.
Yeah, we got rid of the extras.
We got
Or as we like to call them, the red shirts.
budget cuts. What are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't afford the interns this week, so no. Kevin and Brian couldn't make it. We actually did film another 100th episode previously, and it has unfortunately been lost. So every good podcast has a lost episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's why we did it.
It'll turn up in 100 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe digging through an attic somewhere
And find
when we're all famous. And
make, of course, like 6 billion Glolix off. That's what money's gonna be called in the future.
Glolix?
Glolix.
Yeah, alright. Well,
Yeah. Just saying.
time to get in now.
Yeah. So, like I said, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna mention a movie franchise, and you guys are gonna basically answer the question: is this worth, like, discussing? Is it as important as Star Wars? Is it as culturally impactful? Is it as quality-wise? Is it as good? Is this a franchise we should talk about? And then we'll discuss it. All right. So the first one I'm gonna bring up, we have tons of these.
Okay,
The first one,
bring it on.
I think, is one that may generate discussion and is interesting. Indiana Jones. It's the other Lucas franchise, the other Spielberg connection. Is this worth talking about with Star Wars?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love Indiana Jones. And you know, there's a part of me that loves Indiana Jones more than I love Star Wars. You know? Probably because you have Harrison Ford and you really enjoy his character and you get
It's more about his character.
Yeah, it's more about him.
Sometimes it depends on the mood I'm in.
Yeah.
If I'm in that, like... There's no other way to describe it. If I'm in that nerdy sci-fi mood...
Yeah.
Or if I'm in that, like, adventurous, like, I want to go out exploring mood, sometimes that can tilt the balance for me between these two. Like, which one I'm going to pick.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, culturally impactful, obviously Star Wars has a farther reach, I would say. But in terms of its power, you know...
I don't know about that. Because the Indiana Jones series launched a genre unto itself as well. You know, the sort of the adventurer who's kind of, you know, what's Byronic hero?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who's not quite...
you say Byronic or ironic?
Byronic.
The Byronic hero, who's a little bit of a jerk. You know, he's not like this superhero. He's fallible and he's not always good. You know, he
That's
makes
Han Solo.
bad
I don't
mistakes.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know, and that's Indiana Jones too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same, but this is basically a movie about Han Solo set in present day.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah.
I mean, I'd say it has just as much cultural relevance as.
It's interesting because these two both have
It's not as massively merchandised.
Yeah, it's
Well,
not as
that's-
merchandise, it's not as quoted.
world over.
Mm.
Yeah,
Huh?
world over. I think Star Wars has a farther reach.
Absolutely. You don't see people walk around with whips. Well, alright, hold on, except for Nate. But I'm talking about... I mean, you got people
Hey.
there's and costumes.
I got a night job.
Entertainers.
Okay, yeah.
No,
I meant
but
rats.
these two franchises both have an ancestry in common because they both come from that adventure serial
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they used to show in the 30s and 40s
Hmm.
before the feature film. And I mean, that's where Indiana Jones came from. And Star Wars has that same feel.
Mhm.
Like, you know, it's one thrilling, you know, episode, and then it moves on to the next thrilling episode.
Mhm.
Just keeps
And the
bouncing.
one propels the next, yeah.
Which one's
the
better?
cliffhanger.
They both have disappointing
As a series,
sequels. Yeah.
as a series, I would put
prequels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would put the Star Wars trilogy above the Indiana Jones series. But Raiders of the Lost Ark, whereas Empire of the Strikes Back is, which I think is the best Star Wars, is in my top 20. Raiders is my number one film. It's my favorite film of all time.
Right. So I guess that's better than the other ones, right? if I'm doing the math. Yeah.
Yeah.
Raiders is better than the other Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Than all the other Star Wars. Yeah, this is tough because once you start like, I think you're right. If I can like take them apart,
Hmm.
then probably Last Crusade and Raiders goes over all the Star Wars movies for me.
Wow.
But here's the issue: the Star Wars. I think the Star Wars movies. One thing that I do appreciate about them is that as a trilogy, they actually go together really well.
Yeah.
And so as
Indiana
a
Jones
trilogy,
is-
they kind of
yeah.
beat the Indiana. Yeah, Indiana Jones is
It's individual
episodic.
episodic, yeah.
Yeah, and so it doesn't have that wonderful connection,
Right.
which you talk about, like world building, which is
Yeah.
which is one of the most impressive things about Star Wars.
Right.
I think that Raiders and Last Crusade are probably better than. It's hard because Empire is better than I think all three of the Indiana Jones movies. I don't know. So they're better than all three of the Indiana Jones movies. But Raiders and Last Crusade are better than Star Wars. I would actually put them above Star Wars and Return of the Jedi. So it's kind of, and then Temple of Doom's kind of down there with Jedi. I'm not sure which one's better. So they're, pretty comparable.
So what does it mean to you guys that this is our 100th episode? I'll start with Alvin.
Oh,
Go around.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. No, 100 episodes. That really means something. I mean, this is 2 years that we've been doing this for. And even though I'm not here on the podcast every week, we all put a lot of effort and a lot of time and energy into this, and and it's not just perseverance. It's not just blind like, oh, let's just keep doing this thing. Like, we have followers, we have people who watch it, and
Which we love. We really appreciate them.
and we're trying our best to not just put out a good product every week, but to make it better. We're launching a new website very, very soon. And for us to get to 2 years, 100 episodes, I feel like we've made it in terms of accomplishing something and putting our mark out there. And this is something I'm going to want to show my kids and my grandkids. We made something and produced it and put it on the internet. And this is my crowning achievement. It's all downhill from here. But at least
Is that what you're going to tell your children?
at least I have this. At least I have
This
this,
kids
kids.
is better than you. Yeah, that's exactly. This is
This
how he's
made
gonna
me happy.
introduce
You, not so much.
All right, fix Han Solo, Alvin. Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite movie that we've discussed?
I think this is about 12 or 13, maybe, somewhere in there, 10 or 12, somewhere in there. Honestly, I have to say each week I find something that I enjoy so far, and nothing stood out for me, like, oh, this one was the best. I've seen great movies, but as far as discussing on the podcast, I'm still at the point where I'm hitting new genres of movie to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
So, like this week coming up, very much looking forward to it. So for now, I have to say, I got to cop out and say, for me, it's the next one, because it's still new.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Darn, that's such a cool answer.
I know, I was going to turn off, say, screw you.
So, Brian, tell us about your joining the podcast.
Oh, well, let's see. How did I join the podcast? I actually met up with Nate. Oh, wow, what was it?
We were.
What was it, like 5 years after high school? I don't think I had seen you for 5 years.
We were at a benefit for our friend who has cancer.
Yeah.
Your first thought is join the podcast.
Well, Nate was telling me what he was doing, and he was saying he was doing a podcast with a couple of people, and I was like, oh, well, I like watching movies, so I'll come check it out.
Yeah.
And I watched one of the movies, and I came and was like the behind-the-scenes guy for that one episode, gave them their, like, you've got 2 minutes
Was
left.
it, we tried to do the whiteboards?
Yeah, you tried doing the whiteboards with, like, your times and stuff, and I spent half the time drawing on a little thing, not paying single attention to what you guys were saying.
Oh, so you're like our viewers.
And, yeah, so I enjoyed it, and then, what was it, Alvin was out a week, so I sat in for him. And then you guys, you asked me if I wanted to become a full-time member because Tom was leaving, and I don't know, you guys were drinking vodka that one day. And,
Your first movie was Thor. How did you feel about that?
well, my first movie was not Thor. My
Oh,
first
that's right,
movie
right.
was Due Date. No,
No.
not Due Date. It was Adjustment Bureau.
Adjustment Bureau, yeah.
And because
Because I randomly turned to you and was like, "You're gonna start us off."
yes, you did. That was something a communist would do. And give back to everybody. And well, let's see. My first movie was Thor, as like a full-time member, and it was a lot easier than being a guest because you've already sat through one. Now you're acclimatized to the camera and everything like that, and it was a fun movie. It was fun watching and talking about that.
But 100 episodes to me is, I think a lot of what the same things you guys said. It's a good feeling of accomplishment because we've worked really hard at this. We've learned new things. We've really pushed ourselves. It's amazing we haven't missed a week.
Come
Floods,
close.
yeah, we've come close.
Like
Floods
this
haven't
week.
stopped us. Losing all of our material hasn't stopped us. Nude men haven't stopped us.
Nude men have not stopped us.
Yeah, no, I mean, all kinds of crazy things have happened, and we've refused to let it end. And so that's been really cool
Yeah.
to
So
me.
even if it was a disaster episode,
We still put it out. We still
Yeah.
worked at it. This was still a product that we were proud of, and to have something that I can work that hard at means a lot to me. And it also means that I've spent 2 years of my life with just really cool people and like getting to know friends. I mean, Brian and Kevin aren't here, and I regret that
Yeah, I wish they were here.
because we make jokes about them, but they are a really important part of this podcast.
In a way, this is our
Yeah.
weekly poker game,
Mhm.
you know. But it's a lot more than that because we're not just getting together to BS. We're creating something together.
Yeah.
So we're making something
Yeah.
together,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
makes it more meaningful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have tons of stuff. You guys have probably already seen some of Brian and Kevin's comments anyway, so they're on the podcast.
Sure.
If the editing works out,
More than
Steve,
others.
yours, some of us can get behind.
Yeah.
Steve, what's your surprising one?
So the one I'm going to say, which I think it's going to be surprising, that I would put over the original Star Wars, is Source Code. I love that movie, and the more I've watched it, the more I've fallen in love with it. It is so brilliant in every maneuver that it does.
It's good, but it's so new.
It is very new, and so that's. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to come up with something that I would just
It's older
barely
than John
put
Carter.
over it.
Curse you, Tom.
Hypocrite. So if they came up on my flip chart, Source Code would easily beat Star Wars.
Are you afraid for it to happen?
A little. No. I know that it would easily beat Star Wars. Just the more I watch it, the more I realize it's a flawless film. It's absolutely flawless.
Flawless?
I really
Yes.
want to see that again because
All
I had a
right.
problem with the ending. But
Yeah, maybe
I
we need
love
to
the
watch
ending.
it.
The more I realize
Ending's beautiful.
what was happening
It's
and
confusing.
how he's describing everything and just I don't know, it's a beautiful movie.
I didn't dislike the ending because I thought it was confusing or didn't fit with the rest of the film. I didn't like it because it felt very stilted. Like the movie was flowing, and to that point, it's just felt very kind of like rigid and cardboard. I liked the ending in terms of just how it fit in the story.
Mhm.
I just didn't think it was executed that well.
Hmm.
That
No,
was,
see, I
really
did.
want to see it again though.
I think it's
Yeah.
it's an amazing movie. I was gonna say Sucker Punch just to watch Tom like come after me and then be like, no, just kidding. I decided even I couldn't go there.
Wow.
That's funny.
No, now.
Is the Lethal Weapon franchise worthy of being in talks
What?
with Star Wars?
No.
Really?
Let's
Yeah,
move
no.
on.
Move on.
Okay, fine. I think it's a pretty fine. We're moving
And
on.
I'm gonna apologize for that.
Star Trek.
Now this is again
Is it? Wait.
No,
is it worth
no, no.
talking about?
This-
This
yes,
is the
this is definitely-
conversation.
Is this the one that we have to have? Star
So
Trek.
this is again,
I'm gonna
you have
cut
to
it out.
separate the movies from the television show,
That's
which seems
ah.
damn near impossible. But
Because
you
they're so
can't-
tied to them, they sometimes they feel
Yeah.
just like movie.
but you can't.
Is that how it works?
That's how it works. Yeah.
Okay.
that's different. It's in the same medium though. Same basic
Yeah,
medium.
but
It's, it's the
Different format.
Would you
So far.
separate Serenity from Firefly?
Ooh.
Would you dare do that?
If I was comparing it to Star Wars, yes. I'm not talking about in general. I'm saying if you're comparing it, yeah, you have to separate it.
no.
No.
Yeah,
So here's the thing though.
'Cause
Here's the thing about Star Trek.
they have different requirements.
Shh! Tom is talking.
I don't give a fuck what Tom has to say.
Hey, whoa, whoa,
Hey.
whoa. Okay,
I'm just kidding, Tom.
Hey.
your Twilight comment is definitely going up now, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. This is family
The
show.
Star Trek movies exist in the same timeline and universe as the Star Trek TV episodes.
hmm
I mean, the movies build off the TV episodes. It's the
Mhm.
same actors playing the same characters, and that to me that's different from like a comic book becoming movies. You know, I mean, I can't separate
I mean, you have
in
this.
terms of a franchise. I can't. I don't think you should separate the movies.
All right, whether we can separate them or not, are they better?
I mean, you have the Superman show that led into the Superman. So I mean, you know.
But it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this is the same cast becoming.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That-
very different.
Same
That's
cast,
true. It's the same
creative,
exact
the
cast.
same creative directors behind it.
They're essentially longer episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say no. And here's why. Because with Star Trek, it's about consistency, and there's a lot of them that are just no. It's
Really
not
bad.
happening.
Mm.
Yeah, you know,
Mhm.
the ones I remember: Wrath of Khan, First Contact, and J.J. Abrams' Star Trek.
Mhm.
Those are the three I
That's
remember.
what I said last night, right?
Yeah.
If I was
Yeah.
to pick the best Star Trek, those are the three that I have to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the rest of them, they're kind of good. They might be good. I haven't seen them in a long time. I don't remember them.
Mm.
They're not. Some of them I remember because they're so awful.
Mm.
You know, like the original motion picture, which is just terrible.
That's not that bad.
I was watching
Really?
the behind the scenes stuff on the J.J. Abrams Star Trek just last night, actually, and
Yeah.
one of the writers of the new Star Trek, they were actually talking about Star Wars' impact on the new Star Trek movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they wanted it to be more like adventure and excitement, and
Yeah.
that Star Wars captured.
Sure.
And they acknowledged that it was almost like, blasphemous or heretical to talk like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But he made this comparison where like Star Trek is like classical music, whereas Star Wars is like rock and roll,
Yeah.
yeah.
and they wanted to put a
Wow.
little more rock and roll into Star Trek, and that was
Wow.
the whole thing.
hmm
Wow.
But
What was that Onion? That Onion.
The article
on
about
how like Trekkies were upset because there wasn't an
It was-
hour and a
they-
half of diplomatic conversation about
they were
the-
upset because the new Star Trek was entertaining.
Yeah.
Because the exact title. Yeah. And that's why I can't do it because Star Wars. If I just look at that franchise,
Yeah.
you know, that trilogy easily it's better than Star Trek. Now,
quality wise, yeah.
if I start including the prequels and all this other stuff that Star Trek
Yeah.
has spawned,
Yeah.
all these crazy novels,
Yeah.
which
Star Wars.
Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
All of the television shows, some of them good, some of them not.
Yeah.
You know, all the fan fiction, all the fanfare.
Mhm.
Then it honestly it starts to even it back out a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, the thing about Star Trek is if we're gonna like include the shows, then
We have to include the prequels.
Yeah.
no, the Next Generation, because the movies do lead right
Oh,
into that
yeah.
cast, and
mhm.
a lot of those that show, The Next Generation, was amazing,
Yeah,
and a lot of their movies were actually pretty good.
their movies
And
were a lot
so-
better than the original cast.
So I mean,
Yeah.
then it becomes a little murky, but
Mhm. But then you also got to include like Voyager and Deep Space Nine.
no, that
Star Trek is
didn't
definitely more
Enterprise.
dated.
that didn't happen.
Mhm. Enterprise is pretty good.
I mean,
I heard Deep Space Nine is awesome.
I've heard that as well. I think people may be lying.
I think the impact of Star Trek as a series had the cultural impact can be compared to the cultural impact of Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
But as just the
Absolutely.
movies,
Yeah.
then I think it's Star Wars all the way.
I think the cultural good that Star Wars has done is greater than the cultural
I would
good
agree. Yeah.
that Star Trek has done. Is greater than Star Wars.
A lot. No.
Star
a lot
Trek
is
has
mentioned
done
about.
a lot for civil rights and
They cast. They cast like
Oh yeah.
black
No,
people,
insane,
Asian
yeah.
men and women.
when
in
people
the 50s.
were like, "No, you can't do this," and they
Yeah,
put like
and put them on
a black
television.
woman in a lead role, and people were like, "No," and Gene Roddenberry's like, "Screw you, we're gonna do it."
Oh, are you talking
Yeah.
about Star Trek? Oh,
Star
I thought you
Trek.
said Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why I was so shocked. I'm like,
No, I'm
Star
saying,
Wars.
yeah.
We talked last night in the
Yeah.
original pilot before William Shatner was cast.
Yeah.
The first mate was a woman,
yeah.
Philippa Majel Barrett, and
Yeah.
she took control of the ship.
Yeah, she was,
I was like,
crazy
this
smart.
is revolutionary.
Yeah.
And that was something that
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars had done. Even the or
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek, sorry, had
That's
done.
why I'm going
Yeah.
Even
Should wear your Star
With
Trek
the-
T-shirt that's in Star Wars lettering.
with the sort of spin-offs. I mean, Deep Space Nine
Mm-hmm.
was the first television show on TV to have a lesbian kiss
Wow.
ever.
Really.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
And
So, I
Voyager
mean-
has a female captain.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's done
Enterprise has
a
a dog.
lot for
Yeah.
just civil rights and just
Yeah.
pushing out into
Mhm.
And they actually and they actually try and talk about those big thematic cultural issues,
Mhm.
where Star Wars is just about adventure for the
Yeah,
most
it's just
part.
fun.
It does have some.
It's just the movies. It does not have near the cultural.
No.
impact.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I agree.
If we're talking about the series,
The franchise, the whole
then
thing.
the cultural
Mhm.
impact
Shebang,
is
yeah.
And
maybe
with
even more
fans and
important
stuff,
Yeah.
it gets
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah.
Quality wise, even it starts to get when I look at them just as films from a quality standpoint, that starts to get tougher. The older Star Wars has some real issues with just like choreography, and they're kind of clunky.
Mhm.
The newer ones, they get a lot better.
Mhm.
Honestly, a lot better. Especially Abrams one,
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, the newer Star Wars, they have their own issues.
But yeah, no, it's been fun. It's been, I don't know how many weeks now. Maybe 10 weeks, 8 weeks. Somewhere
Feels
in
like
there.
that.
Feels like long.
No, close to that probably.
Wow.
I want to say you were about episode 80 or so.
Yeah,
Definitely since maybe not since we officially announced you, but
right.
you're probably up to about 10 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to it. Always enjoyed going to the movies. Now I have an excuse to go by myself. Before I was just the creepy guy in the theater. Especially to the kids' movies. That was hard to explain to people.
Why are you
Is it now? Yeah. Like now you're okay. No, I do a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see this. It's
I could
all
say
right.
that with an honest face.
Yeah.
You know, before they read through me, I was screwed. Yeah, no, but it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. I think what I enjoy the most about it is the intellectual conversation about it, as opposed to just the typical one-liner conversations that a lot of people have after movies. That's still fun, and there's still classics that you can pull that from. But to talk about them in more depth, whether it's about the directors, the writers, the actors, and in some cases how bad they did, I think to be honest that way is...
Just want to throw that out.
Tom, what does it mean to you that this is the
You know, in 18 years, that 3-digit episode marker is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Just
We'll let future us deal with that.
all of a sudden, somebody bursts in the door. It's future Steve.
Change it now.
Oh, how
No, I
Your
had-
children depend on it.
I had started thinking about how I wanted to do a podcast on movies maybe a little under 3 years ago. And I think at the time I knew Alvin and Nate. And then I met Steve.
At a dance.
Actually, yes. We
Yeah, it is.
We met at a dance. Yep.
Mhm.
I had already met his wife at his house, though.
That's a
Oh,
weird,
yeah,
that-
I was-
that's a weird story.
That
We were
was
supposed to
weird,
have
yeah,
a movie night, and I was actually planning on because Steve had
Spaghetti
mentioned.
Western night. Yep.
Yeah, Steve had mentioned to me because we had tried to start this podcast, and Steve had mentioned it. We could use a third guy.
That's right. You two had tried to start one.
Yeah, and so and then I met you, and I had actually told Steve I met another person who loves movies, might be willing to do a podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so the plan was actually kind of do a spaghetti movie night to kind of like propose it, get you guys to like meet him.
Oh, that was my audition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of.
You might not realize that, but there's a part where it's like, oh, you guys should meet.
Yeah.
And then Steve got sick.
Yeah.
And like everybody was downstairs having
Having
fun,
a
and I was
party.
upstairs dying.
Yeah, and Steven never met some of these people who were in his
Yeah.
house watching. So they'd already been in his house, met his wife and his kids,
Ate his food.
ate his
Yeah,
food,
his food, yeah.
watched movies on his big TV.
Sat on his couch.
Sat on his couch.
Yeah. So then I met Steve. And I think the first movie that you and I saw at the theater together was Youth in Revolt.
Mm-hmm.
And after we went to Starbucks, and we sat down for about a half hour and just kind of deconstructed it.
Mhm.
And we were leaving, and I said to Steve, "Have you ever thought about doing a podcast?" And Steve said, "I was just about to ask you the same thing."
Aww.
Meant to be.
And then we
Yeah.
started making out.
Yeah.
Wait.
No. That was in my dreams.
The movie is better than Star Wars. Surprisingly better. Surprise
Well,
us.
I don't know if it's surprising, but okay. I'm gonna go with Star Trek, the latest Star Trek that just came out, J.J. Abrams. I watched it again recently with Tom. I've been talking it up recently as a movie that balances a huge cast of characters really well, introduces them really well, gives you an opportunity to have an intimate heart connection with each one of them. And this is a movie that I can watch repeatedly. You know, Tom and we watched Star Trek recently. Then I couldn't get enough of it. Apparently he couldn't get enough of it either. And we started looking at all the behind the scenes stuff. And after that, we're like, I want to watch more. And we started looking up original episodes of Star Trek from
Yeah,
the
we
60s.
started watching the original series. Yep.
And because we were so excited about it.
Yeah.
That's what it did to us. You know, I say new Star Trek definitely blows away.
How about the Transformers series?
No.
Ron.
Yeah, no.
They need to reboot that franchise.
Give it to
I
anyone.
am so angry about
Let I'm looking forward to the Buried movies. I love those really fucked up crazy movies that that I've never heard of,
You can open it.
that no one's ever heard of. I mean, I know I didn't particularly care for
So you loved
How
last
to Be,
week.
huh?
You loved last week.
I loved actually just sitting down and watching those films because they're so bizarre, they're so out there, they're definitely very buried, and so to actually watch something like that is seems really cool to me, you know. And we've done some really out there stuff from Inc. Monsters is very buried. How to Be a Serial Killer, some really stuff that's just so
Obscure.
no one's ever heard of this. And I get excited by that. I don't know why.
You're a terrible person.
I'm just kind of I did not like How to Be a Serial Killer, but the fact that we sat down and watched it and talked about it was cool. You know.
Oh yeah.
Serenity knocked my socks off. It was like nothing I'd ever seen.
Mhm.
I was like, and the thought that went through my head at the end of the movie was like, this made me feel like I felt as a kid watching Star Wars.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of how I felt watching Star Wars as a kid. And it's just, it was just, I would say it was like the best sci-fi adventure I'd seen since watching Star Wars as a kid. Just, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Again, putting them up if I was putting them up as flick chart, then I have cultural, importance issues come up. But, it falls in the same category as the original or J.J. Abrams Star Trek is beginning to end. It's just so engaging the whole way through.
Yep.
Whereas as an adult, if I watch Star Wars, I really start to lose interest after Alec Guinness is out of the picture, and then Han Solo disappears, and I lose even more interest.
Yeah.
And then it's just like that space battle, which is important, but I start to get bored.
Yeah.
And I don't get bored with Star Trek. I don't get bored with Serenity.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Gotta say it. Okay, so you guys know I don't have the world's highest opinion of Star Wars. That's not saying much. I think
you say Breaking 2.
I think I revealed to you guys it's at like
Are you gonna say Cars 2?
Yeah.
no, it's
not
at
even in your top.
250.
Films,
Yeah, it's at about.
Speaking of
500.
Breaking 2, before we... Did you see the trailer for Step Up, the new Step Up movie?
Yeah, Step Revolution.
It's Breaking 2. Did you see
It is.
the story?
It's Breaking
exactly...
2.
It's the same movie.
It's the exact same film.
I'm so
Yeah,
glad
that
I
was
have no idea
interesting.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just keep on moving, guys.
Breaking 2 was good.
So I was going through and I was thinking,
Knowing that I'm going to have to discuss it, and I think I'll be able to enjoy it a lot more. So it's weird because knowing that I'm going to have to watch a movie for the podcast makes me watch it very differently. We watched Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy last night. And because I didn't have to watch it for the podcast, I just kind of like let myself fall into the story. I didn't worry about, what this meant or how good this was or even like pay attention to the shots or anything. I just kind of went along with the story. But when I'm watching it for the podcast, I'm paying attention to how it's being shot and, this acting is kind of subpar, but is it overcoming that and all that stuff. So that's one I'd like to watch again.
Tinker Tailor.
No, the
We
American.
haven't watched that yet. If we haven't watched the
Ever
podcast,
reviewed
we
it.
haven't watched it. The American. Yeah.
I'd probably rewatch Super 8 all the way through. I watched parts of it again, and I liked it a little bit better. But I watched the good parts, like the middle section. I mean, the ending kind of was like drag ass for me. So I think I think watching the ending again might go back to where I thought it was. But
So when stuff is blowing up and there's a crazy alien destroying a town, you're like,
I was tired of aliens. I think by the time I saw that movie, and I'm tired of biped humanoid aliens. Just give me some shapeless mass, and we'll be good to go.
So you're waiting for a remake of The Blob.
Yes.
yeah, Steve McQueen.
With Steve McQueen. He has to be in it.
He has to.
If he's not in it, I won't watch it.
I was thinking I gotta surprise you guys.
So it's not gonna be John Carter.
Yeah, so it's not gonna be John Carter, but it is gonna be a sci-fi film. And I thought, how can I piss you guys off? Because that's exactly what I want to do. I want to tell you something that I think is better that'll make you mad. So if I said something like Big Fish or Finding Neverland, you'd be like, oh yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Nate loves those movies. I think that Minority Report is better than Star Wars. Hands down. Hands down.
See,
I think no, I get to talk, sir. I think let me tell you why Minority Report is so amazing.
So that
Not to
Oh my
interrupt you,
goodness.
but
Yeah, it's so I think it's one of Tom Cruise's, honestly, one of his best performances. I think it's from start to finish, it balances action, it has great twists, it tells you exactly what's going to happen, and then still stinking surprises you when he kills the guy. Or when the guy falls out the window, when he dies. And at every single moment, it's crazy to have to balance all this stuff. And it's got some of the coolest, I love those little guns that like fire and the spiders that creep all around. It's got that weird voyeuristic scene where they're going over head. That's really, it's Spielberg, and knowing it's Spielberg doing sci-fi, doing it like scary. It's like he takes his horror roots and finally makes a really like frightening thing. And I love the scene, honestly, where Tom Cruise gets into that room. And all right, so I think that scene where Tom Cruise finds out that this is his son's killer is absolutely it's an astounding bit of acting. I wish he acted that good. Because when he just comes to terms that he wants to kill this man, I'm fully convinced Tom Cruise is actually gonna kill this poor actor. I really get and Samantha Morton is doing an amazing job. And then when he decides not to, that's some of the most intense moments in film right there, when he is just about to just destroy this guy. And you see everything connect, like you see the poster starting to rise up behind the windows, and you're like, it's not a fourth guy. You're like, oh my goodness! And like all the pieces, it's amazing how all the pieces come together in that film. I think it's better than Star Wars, and it has a really cool thematic discussion throughout it about can you can't
morality
the morality,
arresting somebody before they've actually
before they commit a crime, but you're clearly preventing them from
right.
committing this crime.
And the morality of forcing these precogs into this.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And
because
to
at
have
the
you
end they're
live this
free to
life.
that.
I think I've said this before, but when we originally
On
started,
the other podcast. Yeah. No.
I don't know, but I started the first episode was episode 000 with 3 digits. As kind of a joke, like, you know, this is going to go on forever. And I didn't really think it would last past that summer. And, you know, here we are 2 years later, still in the garage, but, or moving
It's a
to the
barn.
garage.
Yeah.
To the barn, whatever.
We've upgraded.
Yeah, we've upgraded. Yeah,
Um,
out of the living room, dining room table set, off
Yeah.
the couch.
Off
Off the couch.
Oh, that was terrible.
So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
we have,
comfy.
you know, and one thing that I really enjoyed about this podcast. You missed the couch.
I'm trying to soft back.
So nobody could hear what we were saying.
Yeah.
Is we've continually made it better. Like we've never been like, okay, well, it's good enough now. Let's just keep doing it. We're always trying to make it better. We're always improving, you know, different aspects of it. We're just always seeing how we can do a better job, and that's been the most rewarding.
We've
thing
gone
for
out
me.
and got software. We've gotten better equipment. Some of us have gotten programming degrees.
Yep.
solely for this
Solely
podcast.
for the podcast.
Base their programming degree around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Tom got a haircut. You know, so like.
Yeah, you know, differing degrees of commitment.
It's it's crazy. It's gone on long enough that Tom could leave for a year and come
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
People can like leave and have whole other parts of their lives. I mean, we've had enough time that people have come and gone.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people can.
Well,
come
me and
in.
you haven't.
Yeah.
Just saying, you know, because, you know.
you guys know it's coming.
No.
Is Lord of the Rings.
Uh,
This is the discussion of mighty nerddom. Which one is better?
This is-
Which one is better?
this is
Made? Which
nerdology
has-
graduate
Yeah,
school.
which one? There are nerd theses written on this, man.
Oh my gosh, this is easy. Lord of the Rings trumps Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
Trumps?
over and over.
Bashes it?
repeatedly.
Smashes it completely.
It Hulk smashes Star Wars by the ankles and smashes them back and forth.
Star Wars is Loki.
Yeah,
And Lord of the Rings is
Lord of
Hulk.
the Rings
Yeah.
is Hulk.
yeah.
And it just goes whap, 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 whap.
And Star Wars stands up and says, "I am much better than you." And Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings just comes and goes,
Yeah, no.
"We won a Best Picture." Yeah.
God, yeah, yeah.
Lord of the Rings changed film forever. Film will never be the same after Lord of the Rings.
Couldn't the same be
The
said about
same
Star
could be
Wars?
said about Star Wars, but not on the scale. Not on the same scale. No, before Lord of the Rings, I don't think anybody would have said, okay, you actors, we're going to go film 3 movies all at once. You're going to give up 2 years of your life for this. And we're going to hope it works out.
Yeah.
But if
That
that's
would
it,
never
there has to
happen.
be more than that. I agree. It's definitely done that.
No, but
And that's
that
given us
level
the
of
mega
commitment
franchise.
to
Yeah.
a film,
hmm
that could not have happened before.
The attention to detail.
Continuity,
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
And now that's pretty common.
yeah,
You know, that's...
yeah.
They signed the actors for example, they signed the actors for the Hunger Games like that
Yeah.
for all 3 of them.
Yeah, Marvel, they have like a 6-movie contract or whatever it
Mhm.
is.
So it changed the way movies are made.
Well, and now movies are becoming like this. They are becoming serialized.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Almost
extremely rare
Yeah.
to honestly find that individual film that can sit alone as a blockbuster. You'll see them a lot of times in small independent films.
Mhm.
Person will make their small little thing, but as the one that's going to have that big cultural reach, they're franchises at this point. Part of that Star Wars as well. I think you mentioned in a discussion, it was off camera. You said Star Wars was really the first franchise. It was the first trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, there had been trilogies and series before, but this was the first planned
Mhm.
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
the first expansive one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you think it has the cultural impact? I mean, I know
Yes.
people dress up for it
Mhm.
and stuff like that. Do you think it has that same cultural
Yeah,
impact?
but people have been doing that since the books came out.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
It
That's
has
where
the
I
books
said I was going
behind
to
it.
flip-flop. Remember I said
Yeah.
that before?
Yeah.
I think that, like, my whole family is already planning on when The Hobbit comes out, we're going to do a Lord of the Rings marathon.
How's it
Send me
coming
in-
out? I haven't even heard about it.
But yeah, right. We're going to spend an entire day watching Lord of the Rings and then go see The Hobbit.
Mhm.
You know, that's I wouldn't have done that with Star Wars movies. What?
Can I come?
Oh yeah.
It's gonna take you more than a day to watch all
Yeah,
of
I know. We're gonna
That's
get up at
14
like
hours.
5 o'clock in the morning.
That's dangerous, man. No, you're gonna not like The Hobbit. I'm
Yeah,
telling you right now,
don't do that.
don't do that.
No, that's-
Maybe no, don't
I've already
do
done
that.
that. I've already done that, and that's the thing about these movies.
He's
No, you
committed.
haven't. You haven't done that and then watched
Not
The
and then
Hobbit.
watch The Hobbit.
Yeah,
but
this is a bad idea. By the time The Hobbit comes around, you're gonna be sitting there, I'm so excited. It's exactly what's gonna happen,
that's
man.
the-
Understand your age.
Yeah.
Your daughters are going to fall asleep. Understand their age as well. Bella's gonna be done.
This
Yeah.
the thing about these movies is they're
Cautionary tale.
so well put together, and there's, I mean, it's the craft of these movies
It
is
is the
absolutely
most pure
perfect.
trilogy ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Film.
And you can just sit there and watch all three movies as if they're one movie without
Yeah.
a blip.
Yeah,
They're gorgeous. Because they are.
they are gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean they are
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
one movie.
Oh.
So
Yeah,
hmm
yeah,
I can't even compare Star Wars to.
yeah. You can't.
You can. Yes, you can.
You could say you wouldn't have the Lord of the Rings trilogy without the Star
Without-
Wars.
That's true.
Well, I guess you could say that, but
Mhm.
But,
yeah, but
just in
there-
terms of pure quality.
there is no episode 4 in the Lord of the Rings. We don't have
There
an
might
episode.
be.
Yeah, I mean, there's no episode 4 problem.
Right.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true. Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Like,
there
well,
is no
every-
issue with the prequels dragging it down.
Like
Yeah.
every time we talk about
Yeah.
Star Wars, we always have to qualify saying, well,
The
episode 4
prequels.
kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Or you would say, yeah, and then if we ignore the prequels, right?
Yeah.
Like every time Star Wars comes up, we have to qualify for the first 4 episodes of it.
Mm-hmm. And with Lord of the Rings, you have to get really nitpicky to find
Yeah.
flaws.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Shut your mouth, Tom.
off the top of my head, I can't even think of anything. Like you're right.
Tom Bombadil. Yeah.
I wasn't going to go there.
Yeah. really
important.
He was really important.
I
Yeah.
think we should break up.
I think we should see other people. Sorry, that's a Heath McNeese joke.
That was pretty obscure.
If you do not know who he is, underground rapper, check him out.
Yeah, okay.
Gun
Dead
Show.
serious. Yeah,
Show.
The Gun Show. It's awesome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Lord of the Rings just destroys Star Wars.
Destroys.
That's a
Yeah,
clear
It
line.
destroys Star
Destroys.
Wars.
Well, 2 out of
I would
4.
say it's. Oh yeah.
It destroys.
3 out of 4.
We are proud to say this was our 100th episode.
Yep.
We're looking forward to 20 more. I
That was,
think we've got like 20 good ones left in us. We're gonna do 200 more,
Yeah.
but 20 of them are gonna be good.
yeah.
Gonna move
See
on
what
to our
sticks.
next segment. Yeah, tell you what's coming next.
Next week we are going to double down and go with Prometheus and Snow White and the Huntsman. So we're going to talk about both movies because this week we took the week off and talked about Star Wars and old movies. So figured we'd go out and spend a bunch of money after that. Tom, expectations.
Well, I've already seen Snow and the Huntsman. Yes, it's true. But I was very much looking forward to it. I was very much looking forward to it because I love good fantasy, and we're kind of getting more quality fantasy nowadays.
Yeah.
In the post Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like that kind of like revisionist fairy tale. That stuff always appeals to me. And Prometheus. Now that Avengers is done, this might be the movie I'm looking forward to the most. Even with The Dark Knight Rises, just because I have to stack The Dark Knight Rises against The Dark Knight. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this fits into like the Alien universe, even though it's probably not a direct prequel. But yeah,
I am Future Albin. I have seen Snow White and the Huntsman, and
I am future.
and I agree with Tom. That revisionist of the fairy tales, like that's really cool. And obviously, you know, I'm
That's why Mirror
really,
Mirror was such a big hit.
yeah, I'm really excited to see Chris Hemsworth. So that was anyways, that's why I was really. I wanted me to talk to you guys about it, but I'll send Future Albin back to the future. Prometheus, probably the trailer, the movie trailer that excites me the most out of all the movie trailers that I've seen for this year. there's no other trailer that hits me, that makes me want to go watch a movie more than Prometheus. Like, I am excited about Batman, but that's because it's Batman.
Right.
You know,
Actually,
the trailer does
yeah,
nothing for
the
me.
reason that trailer excited me is because it's so much like the original Alien trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that on YouTube. Just go on YouTube and look for the Alien trailer. And
Yeah, but it does a great job of psyching you up.
Yeah.
And I'm super psyched for it.
I am excited for Snow White and the Huntsman, honestly, because of Chris Hemsworth. I want to see him get out of that Thor mentality. I want to see him lead another movie, and I want to see what they do. It looks cool, so that's why I'm excited for it. Prometheus, I'm excited for this intrigue of it. Is it an Alien prequel? Is it not?
Yeah.
And I want to see Ridley Scott do something good again.
Yeah.
So that's why, because Robin Hood
Black Hawk Down sucked.
wasn't fun. We should have this discussion sometime. We should actually. I wonder where Black Hawk Down would fit in his canon,
Wow.
because he has quite. When we actually lay out
He's
everything
diverse.
that he's made, so I'm excited. I'm just excited for him to return to sci-fi, because he's done Alien, he's done Blade Runner, and that's it in sci-fi. And now he's doing Prometheus. So it's. I mean, the man's got an impeccable track record.
I remember when we first heard about Snow White and the Huntsman, I was like, this is gonna be crap. And then we all saw trailers and we're like, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
So, I'm really looking forward to it. Kinda. I saw it as well.
This better not be future Steve.
This is,
Future Nate just didn't want to own up to it.
yeah, I mean, it just, from the trailers, it looks absolutely incredible. Like, just visually and the way the story's being told. And so, as far as Prometheus, this is one of my, like, maybe just under Avengers as far as how much I'm looking forward to this. I'm really hoping it ties into the Alien story more than just a nod. But even if it doesn't, everything about it just looks absolutely incredible. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. After Prometheus, there's nothing to look forward to. So might as well just lay down and die.
Yeah.
And there's people in this
it's just
cast that are
terrible.
like, for me, the people that, like Mimi Rapace from the girl with the dragon tattoo, and Michael Fassbender, and
Idris Elba,
Idris Elba.
Charlize Theron, Guy Pearce.
No, yeah.
Charlize Theron was in,
I'm talking about, like,
she's been in a lot of movies this summer.
It's gonna
Or
be
this
gonna be a
year.
Charlize Theron
That's
episode
right.
next week.
That's right.
She was
Yeah,
Snow White and the
she
Huntsman.
knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
It's all Charlize
Wow.
Theron.
She's in almost every. It seems like she's in tons of movies this year.
Yeah.
She
Her
is. She's
and
coming back with a vengeance.
Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, Michael Fassbender's big.
Tons of movies.
Mhm.
And Chris
Jeremy-
Hemsworth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's
Jeremy
been
Renner.
in 3 movies.
Jeremy Renner is big.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Okay. So that's all for this week of Buried Cinema. You can check us out on the web. We're at buriedcinema.com. You can email us at buriedcinema@gmail.
Check out the Rampad. It's been down for maybe a week. Been having some technical issues with stuff, but we're doing. You can read some articles on other sci-fi fantasy films, and we'll have. I think we're going to be starting a series pretty soon about movies that have impacted us personally.
And I guess check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/buriedcinema, and also our Twitter, twitter.com/buriedcinema. Check us out. We
Okay.
we are there, and we sometimes post interesting things. And we will post interesting things again.
If you don't have time for the full episode, watch the minisodes on YouTube. They're just nice, quick little summaries, give you a sense of what the full episode's about. Also, send us suggestions for buried films to our email. And if you subscribe to us on RSS feed, please leave a review or leave a review on iTunes. If you have suggestions or something negative to say, honestly, please send us an email, because that doesn't help us if you put it on there. But it will we'll respond to it if you send us an email and tell us you don't think we're like a 1-star podcast.
Sorry, I didn't mean to send that email to you.
I thought I was doing pretty good. Yeah.
So next week, we're all over Charlize Theron.
Okay.
I like movie.